Hello, and welcome to Console Shock Retro and Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and as always, Stu. How's it going, Stu?
Yeah, it's going really well, Trev. Going really well. Going good.
What have you been up to recently in terms of the world of the old Vidya games?
Do you know what?
Anything fun?
What popped up yesterday in the sale was the RoboCop game, the second one. The Unfinished Business, I think it's called.
Oh, the DLC, yeah, the DLC.
The DLC. Yeah,
got the original, the base game. I haven't played it yet. It's in my backlog.
Why have you not played that? Why have you not played that, Trev? What's wrong with you?
I do like a license. It's funny we should talk about a license.
You love licensed games.
I bloody love them. I was literally started playing PCS3, the PS3 emulator, on my Steam Deck. I've been playing the Simpsons game. If you remember that on the 360 and the PS, actually it came out for everything around the time the movie came out. If you remember that 2006-7 time, and it's actually not bad. What's kind of cool, what I've been doing is obviously we've talked about lossless scaling recently, where you can kind of double the frame rates of games by okay, they're fake frames, yes, but you get, especially with things like those consoles. And we're going to talk a lot about this generation very shortly. The Xbox 360 and the PS3, a lot of those games were kind of 30 FPS games, and they were locked to that. So a lot of the time they didn't even reach that, did they? But with PCS3 emulator, I've been playing the Simpsons game. That's a 30 FPS locked game, and with lossless scaling, I can actually double that to 60, and it looks great. It looks like a native 60 frames a second game. You do get, it feels like you're playing it at 30 because it's not actually reading your inputs, and like we've talked about frame generation technology before. But it's a really great tool for emulators. There's other games I've tried it on as well that were locked to 30 on the PS3, and you can get those to now basically look a lot smoother running at 60. It's a really sort of great way of. Sometimes you can hack those games to run at 60, but you'll break.
We don't condone hacking. We don't condone hacking.
I think it's great, but you know what? You can't condone it when it breaks the physics of a game. So this game doesn't do anything to the code of the game. It doesn't do anything to the code of the game. It's just some software that makes these fake frames, and you get a really smooth-looking game that never really was ever supposed to look like that originally. I've got RoboCop.
RoboCop, yeah, I haven't played it yet. It's just downloaded, so I'll get onto that a little bit later on. But yeah, no, I absolutely love the first one. It was really good. And but I was going to say, I've got to come round to your house, and you've got to install all these things onto my Steam Deck. So all these side-loaded decky. Oh yeah, I know I could, but you can do it for me.
I've touched upon a bit.
Anyway, I'm glad you're talking about the PS3 in the intro. That was brilliant.
Yeah. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Xbox 360 before we really dive into it, because I've actually done some of the emulation that's available for that.
Oh, can you do that?
Which you might have. Yeah, there's an emulator called Xenia. It's basically like our PCS3 for the Xbox. It's not quite at the level that our PCS3 is at. Only a much smaller percentage of the library of 360 games work. Our PCS3 is insane. It's like 70% run perfectly. In the sense you can complete the game and there's no major glitches. I think Xenia is much lower, like 30 or 40%, something along those lines. But there are games that do run really well. One that I really like playing through Xenia is, it was a game that never got released. It was the abandoned Xbox 360 port of GoldenEye, which you might have heard of, Stu. Was a thing at one point. Yeah,
I've heard of GoldenEye, yeah.
Yeah, GoldenEye, what is this game you're talking of? Never heard of it. They made a port of the N64 game. And obviously we have got like a re-release of that in the last few years through like Switch Online and Xbox Game Pass. But yeah, back in the early years of the Xbox 360, Xbox Live Arcade, Rare did make a port of the N64 game, and it's great. You can toggle between updated visuals or the original sort of very soft, blurry jaggedy looking N64 visuals. The controls are modern FPS controls, and the game is complete. You can play the whole game all the way to the end. And it will run on a real Xbox 360. You have to use you'd need to have a hacked Xbox 360. So, Stu, I don't know how you'd feel with your very strong moral objections to hacking.
My strong moral compass.
Exactly. You might never you can never play that game then, I guess. Sorry about that. But yeah, that runs great. Even on the Steam Deck, you can run Xenia, you can run GoldenEye, and it runs great on there. So another great, emulator that you can run in a game that no one would have had access to until it got leaked. Runs great on the Steam Deck. So yeah, you could probably use frame generation on that as well if you're an absolute mad lad. I'm not sure you're that much of a mad lad, Stu. So I don't want to sort of speak.
I'm not a mad lad to get into frame gen. I do a bit of DLSSing.
Oh, do you now? What's your favourite setting? Ultra performance, balanced, quality?
Oh God, I like the one that makes the number highest in the corner.
Yeah,
that's what I look for.
Can't it?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about that generation of consoles already, PS3 and Xbox 360. We're going to kind of, stick to the Xbox 360 side of that coin because we actually have a guest on today. So we've talked before, me and you, Stu, about collecting various consoles. I'm a fairly, big collector. I've got a decent sized collection. I've got probably a few thousand games now. I've never actually counted. I do have a decent, sort of half decent Xbox 360 collection of about a couple of hundred games. I'm not really
couple of hundred. You loser, Trev.
No, that's pathetic.
Only 200. Oh, what? I was going to say
pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
You were going to say a rude word. Yeah,
I was, but no, better not.
So yeah, and I think have you collected the Xbox 360? Have you just got the games you wanted and that's it?
That's it. I think I've collected them, then traded them in, then sold them, and so on, and so I think I played a lot of the ones I want, but I'm sure there's still the games out there that I want to pick up because
your shop, when you had the shop, that was basically in the prime Xbox 360 era, wasn't it? So you would have been dealing with those games like all day, every day.
That's it exactly. Yeah,
but we do have someone that's got a few more than either of us probably put together. He's got a YouTube channel where he showcases this collection, and we're welcoming onto the show Lee from EternalLee HD on YouTube. Welcome to the show, Lee.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's my absolute pleasure.
It's awesome. Yeah, we love talking about this sort of stuff, especially the collecting side. And it was actually Stu kind of stumbled across your channel and, being kind of, clearly embarrassed about his own Xbox collection. He was kind of finding solace in seeing your shows of
either that or searching for mad people that do incredibly stupid things with video game collecting.
Yeah.
Exactly. And spend a bit too much time in CEX, which we're probably all guilty of if we're going to get any kind of collections going. Yeah. So, Lee, please, let us tell us, about your Xbox 360 collection. Is it something that you recently thought, right, I'm going to get everything, or did it just naturally build up over the years? How did that kind of really kick off for you?
So, in all honesty, right, I used to so similar to Stu, I used to work in video game retail. I used to work for Game for quite a long time.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I was a store manager and then like a district development manager and all that good stuff. So way back in it must have been 2010, I think it was. My girlfriend at the time was also a bit of a gamer, and she also worked for Game as a store manager. And I think it was a Tuesday, right? And she had a day off on the Wednesday. Sorry, I had a day off on the Wednesday, and she was working. So back in my 20s, that meant that I could sit in my pants all day and play video games. So
perfect day.
Absolutely.
Still does in your 40s.
Yeah, I mean, it does. There's a few things in the way of doing that, but it's still the dream.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so back in those days, I remember that day very clearly. I kind of browsed along the pre-owned section. We used to get a 25% staff discount. And I played quite a few things. Obviously, as a store manager, I got given a lot of promo copies, and obviously, I abused my staff discount a lot as a gamer, etc. So I was wandering down my pre-owned aisle, and I picked up a copy of a game called Secret Service. And I looked at it and thought, Christ, I don't think we stocked that new. I've got no idea what this is, not heard of it, but it had a $12.99 price sticker on it. And of course, being a store manager of a store of impeccable standards, I knew that price sticker was accurate. So I was quick maths in my head. That's £9.74. And I looked at the back of the box, and the little tagline on it was, "The president's been hit. I repeat, the president's been hit." And I thought, my God, this is absolute B-movie tat. This is probably going to be utterly dreadful, but maybe in the same way that, I don't know, Battleship Earth, that John Travolta sci-fi movie back in the day. That was so terribly bad that it was actually entertaining. So I kind of thought maybe Secret Service will be the same. So I bought it, and I took it home. And the following day, my girlfriend went to work. I sat in my pants. I drank coffee. I played Secret Service, and it was every bit as shockingly terrible as you'd think it would be. It was bloody awful. Like, it used the IW4 engine, so it, I was kind of like, well, it might be like a bit like Call of Duty, but it really wasn't. It was made by Activision, wasn't it? It was, yeah. So I kind of thought it published. You never know. But no, it was an absolute horrendous game. I finished it. I pushed my way through. I grabbed a couple of the easy achievements for it. But yeah, the Thursday morning I went back to work and I took it back with me because it's like, I'm never going to play this again. I'll trade it in. So I got my colleague to scan it up on the till, and he said, Lee, it trades in for £1.40. And I kind of stood there, and it's like, right, okay, well, I'm not going to get anything for £1.40. So maybe I should put it on my gift card, and then it'll go towards whatever new release. But I stood there with this game in my hand, and you guys as kind of like collectors will know that sometimes it's the weirdest games that end up being incredibly rare, and quite often it's games that are actually not very good that seem to hold their value because nobody buys them in the first place, right? So I kind of stood there thinking I could get £1.40 for it, or this could be the Xbox 360's Panzer Dragoon Saga. You never know. So I kind of thought, no, I'm going to keep it, right? So I took it home that evening, and I put it on my shelf, and I kind of stood back from my shelves because, again, they were all alphabetical because, I was a bit anal about it. And I stood and looked at my shelves and thought, Christ, I'm going to need some new shelves soon. I've got a lot of Xbox 360 games. So I stood and counted them, and I had like 180 or something like that. And, again, like I say, a lot of them were promo games. So, this is back in the day before PR people like me just gave you a digital code to download a game. This is when reps gave you physical promo copies. So, probably half of them were promos. But I kind of looked at it and thought, this is cool. I've got a massive set here. So I kind of stood there at that point and thought, wouldn't it be cool if I owned every Xbox 360 game? In all honesty, it was a bit of a pipe dream even back then. But it was kind of like in my brain. And I guess it was probably 2013 where I said, right, I'm going to make a list. I think the Xbox One had just launched. And the wonderful thing back in those days when a new generation came out, the old generation was then in abundant supply in second-hand shops. Oh, yeah. So if you remember the Xbox One and the PS4, when they first launched, there was no back compatibility whatsoever. So lots of people would trade in their Xbox 360. And because you couldn't cherry pick your games to kind of go, right, well, I'll keep Red Dead Redemption, I'll keep Assassin's Creed because I can play them on the Xbox One. People just got rid of the lot. So suddenly the market was flooded with a vast number of used 360 games. The prices plummeted. And it was at that point that I really started buying and building the set. And I think it was very late 2013 when I made my first list to kind of go, right, this is every Xbox 360 game as far as I can remember and work out and see that was ever released on disc. And then, 12 years later, I finally acquired them all after making about 8 million revisions to the list. It's weird as well, guys, because I was adamant as well that I didn't want to do like a full PAL set. I just wanted to do UK. And it was hard to find a definitive list. So, as you know, there's so many like creator groups on Facebook, on Reddit, and places like that.
It is hard to find a total, isn't it? Because sometimes you find a list on Wikipedia, you might have the Xbox Live games, which you don't see Xbox Live Arcade, so you can't have to separate the disc games. What is the actual total then in the UK of physical games?
So, 360? In terms of what we've agreed on, as in me and a few members of various communities, we've agreed on 1,179 unique disc games. Wow. So, like you say, it gets really complicated because do you include like day one editions and limited editions and collector's editions? Do you include classic re-releases? Do you include double packs? It gets so difficult to nail down an absolute total. So instead there's also lots of nuanced things. So there was a game called Kick-Ass 2, which we desperately were trying to... we were desperately trying to work out whether that had ever been launched in the UK, because there was a UK retailer called Zavvi that had sold it in the UK. However, the barcodes for the copies that they sold were the international SKU, which had never actually been classified for sale in the UK. So we were kind of like, that was obviously imported from like Germany or France or wherever, and then sold as grey import stock in the UK. So it was kind of like, even though I went to all the effort of acquiring a copy, we then turned around and were like, actually, no, that didn't get released, so that doesn't count. So we took it out. So 1,179 is what the current number sits at.
There's things as well, like you touched upon all the different variations of things, but there's even sometimes there's like DLC for games got an actual full blown like boxed release, like Oblivion, Shivering Isles.
Correct.
That's a proper box with its own little thing. It doesn't have Oblivion, which you need to play it, but it's got its own manual box. So there might be other games that are like that, but that's the one I think of.
There's Borderlands as well. There were Borderlands expansion discs for Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. It really frustrating, because then you get to the point as well where it's like, well, there's a Borderlands 2 Game of the Year edition. So does that count? It's kind of like a complete edition. So instead, it's basically the list that we've kind of agreed on is unique games that were unique products that were released on disc. Then we built a separate list for, hey, these are all the classic reissues. And even the classics reissues get complicated, because some of them, like Assassin's Creed and Project Gotham Racing 4, have got two different classic versions. They've got one in the green box and one in the grey box. So again, it gets super complicated. And then you've got stuff like Just Cause and Kane and Lynch, where they had double packs released for them. So it's kind of like, well, do we count those? Or even though they're technically...
Assassin's Creed did as well, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Assassin's Creed had loads of them. They had like the American Heritage Collection, all kinds of
Rogue
stuff.
And Black Flag and together.
That's right. Yeah. So in the end, we opted to build a list of individual unique games as products that were launched on disc. And then we did separate lists for Game of the Year editions, separate lists for all the games that had day one editions and limited editions and all those things. And then, the separate classic reissues and everything else. So in terms of actual games that were released on disc, we're relatively set now that it's 1,179. But for a long time on my channel, I was referring to 1,178 because there was a game that came out of nowhere from left field for me, which was, like you say, it was an expansion pack for Final Fantasy XI Online, which was called Seekers of Adulin, which got launched on disc in the UK. I knew it existed in the NTSC region for the USA and Canada, but I was forever convinced that it never got launched in the UK until we actually found somebody who worked at Square Enix at the time it launched, who confirmed to us that, yes, it did launch physically in the UK. It was only available exclusively through Amazon, and they only pre-ordered to one minimum order quantity build of the game, which was 500 units. Amazon pre-ordered up to 460 because they kept 10% back in case of faulties and replacements that they need to issue. So it was pre-ordered up to 460 units, then deleted, discontinued, and was never repressed. So there's only 400, at the most 500 PAL copies of that game in existence. I found that out literally when I was 10 games away from finishing the set as well. So
what did you feel like when you found that out and you were like, oh?
I was just, you got to be joking. And of course, because it's so rare as well. You know, I got lucky, right? I found a copy on eBay, and it was from a guy that I'd bought a fair few games from, so I knew him. So I kind of messaged him, and we worked out a bit of a deal on it. But I mean, I still paid, I think it was 180 quid for that game. And of course, the really frustrating thing about all of it is that game doesn't work. Like Final Fantasy 11.
Oh yeah, they just
the servers are all shut down. Yeah, so. And you try explaining that to your wife. It's like, I've just bought the most expensive Xbox 360 game I've ever bought. It was 180 quid. And she was like, you know, are you going to play it? And it's like, well, I can't.
Shouldn't have told her. Oh, yeah, I got it for like 50p in CEX.
Yeah, I should have said
but
that.
Yeah, like, I think the base game as well, I think that was a physical release, isn't it? That'll be a coaster now as well. I think that's been a coaster for a long time. I think that lasted into the Xbox One era. And there's things I can think of as well with like FIFA 19 comes to mind, because that was the last FIFA on the Xbox 360. The second to last game, I think, Just Dance was after that. 2019, yeah. But FIFA 19, it had the original cover, which had Ronaldo on it against the blue kind of background. And they changed the cover a few months later because they're worried that Ronaldo was a sex pervert. So they put they changed it to like Neymar and two other guys.
That's right.
So is that a separate release that you have to put in the collection, or
we haven't? No, we haven't classed that as a separate release. And the only reason is that the barcode is the same.
Yeah,
the barcode number is the same. So
wouldn't it be better if you talked about I've got FIFA 19, the sex offenders edition?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we can refer to it.
You haven't got the sex offenders edition, mate. Well, I didn't know that story, Trev. You never told me that.
You know everything about. You normally know all the stuff about sex perverts, Stu. I'm surprised on that one. But yeah, I've got that game, but it's weird. I've got the PS3 version and the 360 version. But the 360 one is just the blue background version, and then the PS3, I've got the Neymar and two other guys later release. I don't know which one's rarer than the other. I'm guessing the Neymar version, because that was later on. When yeah. One thing that I've always sort of thought that you might be able to provide some insight on. There's obviously a bigger version to greatest hits releases and platinum hits or whatever you call it. I always had the impression that in some way they must be more collectible, because I would think there'd be less copies of a platinum version or a greatest hits version, because obviously the sales have already happened with the original version. This is just any scraps that they can pick up from people that want to bargain. Have you bought any of those because maybe it's rarer than the original, or you double dipped, or?
So I'm starting to build the platinum collection now. Sorry if I'm it's not great for audio, but if you look on my camera, so those are like
the grey,
there's the grey ones. They've got 3 different box designs, because there's this one which is kind of like the original grey ones, and then they had a very small amount of time where they did white and green as well. And like I say, some of them have got multiple releases, so they'll be in the grey one as well as the white and green one. So yeah, it's the weird thing is that in most places that you buy secondhand games from, so you know, CEX predominantly, right, they don't distinguish between platinum or classics and standard. You are right in that actually, there's a lot less classics versions than there are standard versions, but at the same time, it's like a lot of people don't want the platinums or the classics, you know. And I'll take that point just to
butchered and
I'll take that point, mate. Even to so this weekend just gone, I went into a CEX store, and they had in their cabinet, they had Final Fantasy 7 on PS1, and they had like a black label version and they had a platinum version. And the black label version was like 40 quid and the platinum version was like 20 quid. And you kind of sat there and it's like, okay, so that is one of the games that you actually have a price difference between the two, and yet the platinum version.
Oh, the box art is nearly identical. It was just like the grey and the silver strip. They did a good job of not
strip at the
butchering
bottom.
art.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the actual discs are different on the PlayStation as well, because the platinum ones are just like silver and they say platinum on it, don't they? But I mean, and again, yeah, the 360 is exactly the same. The classics discs are different to the normal discs. And the weird thing is like, so in the actual main collection, I was adamant that I didn't want classics. I wanted originals. And there's two games that have always really annoyed me in the collection, because GTA San Andreas came out obviously on Xbox Live Arcade as a port, and they actually then put it onto disc like a year after it came out digitally. But they only ever launched it as a classics. Say again, sorry.
Well, the Xbox, it wasn't the original Xbox version. That was the Xbox Live sort of iPhone port, whatever it was. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it was a totally different version. But when they brought it out on disc, because it had sold so many units, it qualified for classics. And they only ever released it as a classic. And the other game they did that with was Terraria as well.
Oh,
so
right.
that was only ever available as a classic. So in this huge collection behind me, there's two games that really, really bug me. That it's just like, I'd love to just have a normal version of it, but of course they literally don't exist.
But haven't Microsoft, they changed the art at the top for the Xbox 360 at some point?
With the Xbox One backwards compatibility.
So the Xbox One and the Series are an absolute mess. They are horrific. Like, some of them will say Xbox One, some just say Xbox, some say Series X, some haven't even got the logo on it. It's just literally just a grey box with the logo of the game. In terms of 360, it's consistent all the way through the generation, apart from the classics. The classics have got 3 different box designs. So when I've got them sat on my shelf, rather than having them entirely alphabetical like I would do the collection behind me, I've got them alphabetically within their box types, just because I can't have my OCD kicks off when it's kind of like all the different ones. But weirdly enough, having started doing Xbox 360 classics, I then found myself randomly starting to pick up PlayStation Platinum, PS3 Platinums, and also the Red Label Essentials as well. So I find myself suddenly building a collection of where are they there? So yeah, those are all the essential ones, and then I've got all the platinum ones. But again, they've got 2 different designs. They've got ones with the original Spider-Man PS3 logo, which is right, and then they've got like the yellow kind of like the later PS3 logo, if you like. So consistency
in artwork a bit.
Consistency in box art is something that I love, just because I love the way it looks on a shelf. And the one console that I think nailed it is actually the Wii U. The Wii U is just incredibly consistent, with the exception of Super Mario Maker, which had a yellow box rather than a blue one, and New Super Luigi U, which had a green box rather than a blue one. Other than that, all the way through, every single game in the library follows exactly the same rules in terms of the spine. Like, the Wii U logo is exactly the same size. Underneath, they have a little square, which is kind of like a micro version of the key art. All the logos of the games have to be the same size. They all have the pink kind of like triangle in the bottom to distinguish them as UK copies. So I found myself now trying to collect a full Wii U set, just because I appreciate the uniformity of the box.
It should be easier and also harder, because I think there's like about 181, but I'm in some Wii U collectors groups, and God, there's some obscure Spanish game show that had a Wii U game that didn't come out here, but it came out over in Spain. People go nuts over that, trying to get it.
That's right. Yeah.
And people always think, oh, I've got a sealed copy of Breath of the Wild. It was the last game. I was like, nah, that's fairly common. You can see on eBay that only goes for 40 quid. Yeah. You know, Twilight Princess and like Wind Waker HD. It's stuff that never came out on the Switch. Yeah. People go berserk for.
They really do. And bizarrely as well, your the Zumba World Tour game for Wii U, which is ridiculously expensive. Like, I saw a copy of it on eBay, and I think it was up for like 80 quid. And it's like, if you mistype that, do you not mean 8?
On the 360, it's like 50p. because there's so many of them. But the Wii U got some insanely niche levels of copies.
That's
but
right.
There's odd things with that. Like I really like NES Remix on the Wii U. There's like a volume 1 and a volume 2 back in the day.
That was American, wasn't it? That was American.
Well, so how it worked was in the PAL sort of region. Although this is kind of in the 2010s, PAL's kind of lost all its meaning with HD TVs at that point. But we only got a download, so I actually bought it on the Nintendo eShop to be able to play it, and that was the only release we had. Great game, by the way.
Yeah,
never came out on the Switch. Yeah. Well, I guess you got the Nintendo World Championship Switch or NES edition that came out on the Switch. Not quite the same as NES Remix, but in the US, they got a physical release which had NES Remix 1 and 2.
Nice.
And that was, I don't think it's massively common there, but that's one that I would love to get. But I think they're region locked Wii U games.
They are.
Yeah.
Frustratingly so.
And that's and actually the same with the 360, isn't it? Because you got like a lot of those games.
Yeah,
weirdly, like the shooters and
weirdly, not everything is region locked. Some stuff works, some doesn't, and there doesn't seem to be any particular rhyme or reason to it. It's not even like all the games from one publisher or distributor all work. It's like it's literally a title by title basis. And again, there's also some like US games that obviously there's always going to be like college sports games that are never going to make an impact here. But if you remember the Telltale games, like The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, they did a Jurassic Park Telltale game, which only came out in the States.
Kind of flew on the radar.
Yeah, but it was actually really good. I remember I went to the US with my girlfriend at the time, and literally the day before we flew home, I was like, I've got space in my suitcase. I'm just going to buy an Xbox 360 and a copy of this game just to take home with me. And then I ended up buying stuff like College Hoops 2K6 just because I'd read on a forum that it was like the easiest 1,000 gamer score that you could get. So it's like, I might as well take that home with me as well. So I ended up picking up a few
those sports games.
A few American games that were just easy achievement rinses.
I've got a similar story. When I went to Japan, I had a list of all the sort of 2D shoot 'em ups that played on a PAL system.
Nice.
And I went to some.
There couldn't have been that many,
store.
right?
No, there was a good few. There was a good few, and
as in ones that will work on PAL, or ones that will work on a UK Xbox. Though I thought that'd be quite a small amount.
Exactly, yeah. Ones that work on the UK 360. So I went to this like department store, and there was this Spanish guy that worked there, and I sort of talked to him. I thought, I'm looking for these games. You got loads of 360 games. Just give me a hand, and he was like more than happy to help me. And I think I came out of there with about sort of 4 of these 360 shooters. And they all worked. And when I sort of got back to the UK, I can't remember what they were. They all had
Raiden,
Raiden 4, Pashi, this and that and the other and stuff. So
excellent, good one. That's
could have been.
This
could have been. But
we didn't get any of them. I don't think we got any of them. I mean, Raiden Fighters. I think we got. I think we got about 3 or 4 shooters.
Yeah, we got a handful. We got Dodonpachi Resurrection. We got Under Defeat HD. We got Ikai Katana. There's not many others, to be honest.
Death Smiles.
Oh, Death Smiles. Yeah, there was a deluxe edition of that. Yeah, really good, really good. I think of all of them, Ikai Katana was probably my favorite. I mean, it's pure hell. Like that is a hellish bullet hell shooter. Like unbelievably difficult. But it's I'm always mesmerized when you go on YouTube and you see people kind of like, deathless, max score, and you just kind of like the skill involved in it is just phenomenal.
Do you know what? I completed Ikai Katana, but when you use about 40 continues, you don't feel like you've really completed it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not like, look at me.
Now,
5 lives per continue, and I used
5 lives.
Continues on the last class. All right, cool. That would have cost me a lot of money in an arcade.
Yeah, exactly. So I should probably save money.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sorry, mate, go on.
focus, I think, don't they? With them, yeah, they sort of shift the focus now. Instead of you just dying, they think, oh, okay, we'll give you infinite lives. How quick can you complete the game, or just get a huge score? Obviously, you can still play, you know, till you run out of lives, but just to make it a bit easier for people. But yeah, sorry, Lee, go on. You were going to say.
No, I was just going to say, like, you know, I remember when on the Xbox Live Arcade they ported Radiant Silvergun, which I remember having on the Saturn. I absolutely loved that game, but then from there I kind of like went down that rabbit hole of kind of like cave and treasure shmups, and you know, I remember discovering Ikaruga on the GameCube, and like, well, I mean, I think it was on the Dreamcast first, wasn't it? But it's like, again, that whole like polarity shift between black and white, and it became such a headbender playing that game. Absolutely loved it though. But yeah, there were a handful of those sort of things that did make it over to the West on the 360. Not as many as I'd like, but yeah, they're very much.
Lee, me and Trevor have got a friend called Malcolm, and he used to sort of stream years ago, and I watched one of his streams playing Ikaruga, and he was like playing it and going on about how hard it was. He never understood that you could switch between white and black. Oh. And it was just like, and I was just shouting at the screen on my phone like, "Fucking change! Get away! It'll be so much easier."
I mean, the thing with Ikaruga as well is like how, like, when you broke down the layers, because again, like when you're black, you've got to you can collect the black bullets to build up your barrel but avoid the white bullets, but then your bullets do double the damage to the white enemies, and then so like every time I switch, it's kind of like, right, sorry. It's just
it's tough. Yeah, I was no good at it.
Really hard, but yeah. Well, I remember finishing that on the GameCube, and thinking that I was God's gift to gaming at that point. And it wasn't until a few years later that YouTube became a thing, and I thought, oh, like I could get one of these capture card things, right? And I could record myself completing Ikaruga just to show that it's possible because I'm that good. And then, you know, you watch these people that are kind of like, you know, every single enemy, like in a complete combo, no lives lost on the insane difficulty. And you're just kind of like, oh.
Why?
Yeah, whoops.
Damn, you know?
It's funny though, like, talking about those games that are locked out, I've actually had to go down the route of buying, like, you know, the PS3 versions, and there's some like Xbox Live Arcade games that never got a physical release, but weirdly the PS3 did. Like, there's a DuckTales remastered that has a physical release on the PS3, and there's like, I mean, I'm going to go really like sports nerd, but in Japan there was special versions of Pro Evolution Soccer 2014. We got the regular version over here, but then in Japan they got the regular version. Then a few months later they will get a special World Cup edition where there's a campaign in it where you have to play as Japan and try and qualify for the World Cup. That's obviously weird. We don't care about that here, so that's not included in our version. Yeah. But that got a separate release in its own separate box art and everything. So if you're you're kind of screwed with the sports games. I don't know if the 360 may have got one or two of those. But it definitely was on the PS3. And it's funny, like going back to the Platinum stuff. Obviously, the PS1, you know, that's probably a bit more difficult to collect for than the Xbox 360. Maybe more because it's just older. But I think it's probably got about double the amount of physical games. It's one that I collect for 300 games, nice. Physical games. But I know the rarest game is, I think, unless someone's found one that's rarer, it's the Platinum re-release of FIFA 2005. Because the FIFA 2005 was the last PS1 game, but then that got a Platinum like a few months later on. And that is, I
didn't even know that got a Platinum.
It did. That and Jedi Power Battles. Star Wars Jedi Power Battles Platinum. Yeah. So we're sort of saying that people hate the greatest hits versions. They're like junk. Well, on the PS1, they're the absolute holy grail. Like those two games, people go nuts for.
It is weird how it works with certain things. You know. And again, it's odd because CEX for most generations don't distinguish between standard and classics.
No.
And yet, like I say, like whenever I look on Vinted and eBay and Facebook Marketplace, well, I mean, Facebook Marketplace is a whole different kettle of fish, but you know, particularly like Vintage used to be like my go-to thing. I remember like buying video games on Vinted 3 years ago was an absolute treasure trove, and now, you know, in a good way for, you know, the people selling, but unfortunately everyone seems to now realize that they know what they've got. It's like everyone knows what it's worth. But you know, I mean, Facebook Marketplace is still for me a great place to pick those up, because most of my kind of game collecting has been buying in bundles.
I was about to ask that.
I love doing the whole Frankensteining as well. So, like, you know, buy 20 games because I needed 2 of them, and then the other 18 I'd kind of like pull them all off my shelf, and it's like, right, which one's the best box, which one's the best inlay, which one's the best manual, best disc, and you'd Frankenstein the best thing together, and then the other one would go on a pile for me to either resell or trade in at CEX or whatever. But yeah, Vintage used to be such a gold mine for that. And now less so, you know. I think it used to be that people would kind of like, they pull a stack of like 20 games and go, oh, I've got FIFA 2006 here. How much is that worth? Oh, it's worth 50p. Great. Oh, I've got a copy of Assassin's Creed. How much is that worth? 50p. Great. Oh, I've got a copy of Battlefield. That must be worth something. 50p. All right, cool. So all these games are 50p each. So they put 20 games on for a tenner, and there's me going, shit, sorry, you got a copy of Tornado Outbreak there? Go on, I'll give you a tenner. Would you take £8 for it? Come on. Off you go. And of course, then it comes through, and you're kind of like, yay, I've got the games that I need. And then the rest of it, you know, it just went. And sorry, I've just got to say as well on CEX, the other one, honestly, I don't know how many copies of Destiny I own, right? But it's it's the only 360 game that has perennially been 50p. And no matter where I look,
as well, isn't there?
There is,
King Expansion was a physical 360 copy.
It was indeed, yeah. The thing about it is, though, is that I can't find a supplier that does Xbox 360 boxes for less than £2 a box. So every single time I go into CEX, I will go straight to 360. Absolutely. There was FIFA, there's Battlefield 3 if I need the double disc ones, and Destiny that are 50p. And honestly, it would just be like anyone that's got a good box, I'd buy it. It's like, I mean, the guy in my local CEX, you know, I used to bring like 8 Destinies to the counter.
Called Destiny guy. Destiny guy. Look what he buys. He always buys the same game every week.
That's it. But after about the 3rd or 4th time of doing it, the guy was like, I've got to ask, mate, why do you keep buying so many copies of fucking Destiny? And it's like, mate, I literally buy them because of the boxes. So it got to the point, well, it still is at the point, because I even do it today, where he just takes the discs and puts them in the bin. He doesn't even waste my time with giving me the discs that I've got to put in. He just literally sells me the boxes and bins the stock. So yeah, that's
it is funny, actually. I was going to make a joke that you could say you had a very high density of Destiny. Quite bad. Let's get out of there. Someone's laughing somewhere. But,
I went to CX a little while ago, and I bought all these, you know, games on the PC.
Nice.
And I know, and I'm in my 40s, and this like 17-year-old kid behind the counter with pink hair, he goes, "Hey mate, have you ever heard of Steam?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah, I've heard of Steam. Yeah, I've heard of Steam, thanks." Yeah. And it's just like,
might be available. That might not be available.
Exactly. It's certainly some, you know, the PC games in there are like peanuts.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
50% of them will work.
Some of them you can put this. I think we mentioned this on the last show, actually, Stu. But some of them you can buy the game and find it in CEX, and the serial key you can put that into Steam, and it'll unlock the Steam download. So you probably picked up. I can imagine some of those games did work for you in that way, Stu.
Yeah, a few of them. I think Street Fighter and a couple of others. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually, Lee, like talking about the sort of literally the cases, like the Amaray, you know, clamshell case, whatever. I don't know if Amaray still make them. They probably don't. But they used to be the main DVD box maker.
They did, yeah.
I've noticed that some of them are a little bit unique, because like EA, I think, would put their logo on the case, and like
they do indeed.
There's other ones that would have Xbox 360 and sort of printed, or whatever you want to call it, embossed into the case. So I think they gave all that. I think it was maybe the first 2 or 3 years of the 360, there was an effort to do that, and then they just went to plain green boxes. Is that a
Correct,
thing that you have to be careful with collecting to make sure you've got a genuine, complete copy of something?
I guess it depends on how anal you are about it. For me, it's a thing. You know, it's the reason that I often didn't buy FIFAs as replacement boxes, because those hologram FIFA stickers are an absolute pain in the ass to get off without leaving horrible residue or ripping the kind of plastic on the ammo. So yeah, that's why I tended to steer more towards Destiny and Battlefield and stuff like that. But yeah, but again, there's a lot of examples throughout gaming where that's been the case. Like even the PS2, you know, for a long time, for the first 4 or 5 years of its life, every PS2 like Amaray that was manufactured had a little memory card holder at the top. You know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then by the time we were getting more towards PS3 era, they were just plain blue. And all of that was kind of taken out and forgotten about. And again, I think that's my appreciation of Wii U, is that it's the only console really where they've ever nailed absolutely from game 1 to game 181, right? Every single one is designed exactly the same. There was obviously, you know, in marketing language we call it a brand bible, right? Which is, you know, all your brand guidelines and everything. But it was clear that Nintendo, just from the spine of their boxes and the designs of their inlays, were absolutely uniform. Like there was no deviating from it. It had to be exactly how Nintendo told you to do it. Otherwise, you're not getting the seal of quality and you can't launch the game. So, you know, that's one of the things that I love about Wii U. But yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. There's a few different, the EA is always the one that stands in my head, because yeah, especially early doors up until probably 2010. So the first 4 years of 360, every EA game has got an EA logo in the case. So yeah, it's one of those you can spot someone that's Frankensteined a copy of it a mile away. So
what's the rarest game you've got, Lee, or the most difficult to find, or to?
I mean, the rarest game has got to be that Final Fantasy 11 expansion I mentioned earlier. But in terms of actually finding it, like I was really lucky with that, because I found out about it. Had a look on eBay, and instantly there were 2 copies listed, and one of them was a seller that I recognized and thought, oh yes, thank God. The hardest game that I ever had to find, there was Rugby League Live 3, and they did a World Cup edition of it.
That was a very late game, I think, wasn't it? Like
it was 2015,
like,
I think it was. So it was into Xbox One generation. And yeah, finding, I mean, again, that game is essentially region locked to the north. Like, I don't think there's anybody outside of the north that knows what rugby league is. And again, like I've got this thing about it's me making things more difficult for myself, but buying things locally. Trying to do everything that I can. So, you know, I'd spend my days kind of like, you know, obviously the CEX, which is always a great place to look, but, you know, charity shops, car boot sales, garage sales, all those sort of things, you know, local groups on Facebook and Facebook Marketplace and things like that. So I tried to build as much of it without buying online as I possibly could. I did admit defeat with Rugby League Live World Cup, though, because I like, even looking on eBay, I just couldn't find a copy. Like, I remember seeing one up for sale about 3 weeks after I started looking to try and find it, and it was a disc only one, and I had to talk myself out of buying it, because it's like, well, how the bloody hell am I ever going to find a spare box for this? Like, this is crazy. And in the end, the one that I bought, I was so desperate, because it was a really late one that I acquired as well. I think it's in the last 10, 15 that I bought to finish the set. And in the end, the one that I settled for doesn't have a manual, which bugs me to this day, because I need the games complete, and they're not quite all complete. You know, I dare say, you know, 98% of them have got manuals. There's probably 35 or 40 in total out of all of them that either haven't got a manual, or I'm really not happy with the manual.
I'm guessing you avoid probably buying from CEX online then, because also you don't know if you're going to get a manual or not.
Mate, I did early doors. I bought I think it's Resident Evil Revelations I bought from a CEX online. And when it came through, it was one of those horrible cover reprinted.
I hate them. I hate them.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? If you're not fussed about the box, then I understand why they do it, right?
It should be a different price. It should be a different price.
That's exactly the thing. Now,
it should be like a 7th tier.
Absolutely.
Unboxed.
I totally agree with that, right? Because you see online now, like there's all these unscrupulous people that are reproducing Nintendo 64 and SNES boxes, like the cardboard. And they're not even having the decency to mark them as reproductions. Like, I've got no issue with anybody having a reproduced box whatsoever, but stop pretending it's original, right? That really angers me. One of my very close friends is 85% through a boxed and complete N64 collection, like UK collection. So he's very near the end. But he said that it's so bad now that like he can't even buy on eBay or Vinted or anything, because he's like, I can never, until I've got it in my hand, I can't authenticate if it's original. And he's got this thing.
They're really good as well.
They're brilliant.
The printers are really good. Yeah, the
absolutely
brilliant. High, but yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for CEX, the quality isn't high. They're bloody awful. And it's one of those that, like, if you're someone that just wants to buy the disc to play the game and you don't really care about the box, that's brilliant. I think it's much better to keep that physical disc in circulation than it is to put it in the bin or send it to landfill, right? So 100% I'm on board with reprinted covers, but for the love of God, you need to have a different price tier. Because it's for me as a collector, that thing is worthless. It's literally buying disc only, so the price should reflect it. But I bought a copy off CEX online, and it got delivered with that. And then so I took it back to my store, because you can't just return it; you have to take it back to a store. So I took it back, and the guy was like, "What's the problem with it?" I was like, "Well, it's got a reprinted cover," and he was like, "So," and it's like, because it's not an original cover. And he's like, no, but we don't pretend it is. It says cover reprinted. I was like, yeah, but it didn't say it was cover reprinted when I bought it. He's like, yeah, but the disc is the same. It's like, no, mate, can I just bring it back? And it was one of those, and it put me off straight away, that it's like, no.
I get annoyed with people. I think I talked to Trevor about this before, is people online that do the CX lottery. And I think Trevor does this, where he orders 7 of the same games, and then they all come, and then he's going, this is a better sleeve. This disc's all right. Put them all together, and then return the other 6.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking about the poor guys in the shop, and then that's who I feel for.
Yeah,
because of Trevor.
They stopped that now. You can only buy a certain amount of a specific game. So you can't actually do it. But back when they started doing retro, and by retro I mean, like, NES, Game Boy, Mega Drive, sort of in the sort of early mid 2010s, they had no real rules. So you could buy 5 copies of Gradius on the NES, and you could Frankenstein a complete one, send it all back, and they'd give you your money back. But they'd also their postage costs were way cheaper. You could buy 50 games and pay £2.50.
Exactly. Yeah. So
not anymore.
No, so I did ask about that, because I remembered that being a thing like years ago when I did buy online from CEX, and the guy in the store local to me, which I never realized at the time, but apparently, so CEX don't have like a warehouse where they ship online orders from. Essentially, an online order comes through and the stores pick them from their stock and then send them from the store. And he sort of said, the problem was when people order like 30 DVDs and one store hasn't got all 30 of them. Like, it might have 10 of them, and another store's got 5 of them, and another store's got 4 of them. So you end up having like 8 different packages that they ship out. And of course, it must cost them a fortune in Royal Mail for, 30 lots of £1 DVDs, which is apparently why they then moved to charging it per item. But again, the problem from that is that if you buy multiple things from CEX online, you'll often get like 3 of them come in one package, which means they've all come from the same store. So why have I had to pay £9 delivery when it's clearly cost you £2.50, because that's the price on the label that you've paid in postage? It's you can't win either way, I guess, from CEX's point of view. But that has put me off a lot as well, the idea of having to pay postage on every item that you order seems a bit crazy.
Yeah, the value has really gone down on it. But actually, thinking of manuals again, I don't know. I could be imagining this, but I feel like there was probably a point at the very end of the Xbox 360's lifespan where sort of that sort of crossover cross-gen period with the Xbox One, when obviously it was still getting the releases. I think they stopped really giving you manuals, didn't they, in the boxes at that point? Maybe there was a DLC card, but that was it.
Yeah, there was a point with 360 where they kind of still gave you a manual, but it was basically a white booklet with warranty information, and that was it. It wasn't really a manual, it was just like an information book, but it was standardized across a lot of them. It got really late in the life where they stopped even doing that and basically printed it on the reverse of the inlay. So when you open the box, kind of like the transparent part of the AMRA, so you're looking at the back of the inlay that you put in, would have all the safety information printed on there, and there was absolutely nothing in the box. So yeah, that was part of the fun of making lists as well, because again, you know, the list that I made was kind of like I want to be able to check the barcode number, the UPC number, whatever you want to call it, to make sure it's definitely a UK cover, a UK copy, and then it's trying to put into a database, kind of like, okay, does it have a manual? What kind of manual is it? You know, all that sort of thing as well. So it becomes a bit of a minefield, trying to work out whether you've got a complete copy or not. But
so where is all this information kept? Is there a dedicated website, or is it a Reddit thread, or
it's a Google Drive doc at the moment? There's a few of us that have got editing purposes on it. We're probably 85% done now. So we're getting all the information that we can possibly get, just to have kind of like one database that's kind of like, right, any question that you've got about a physical Xbox 360 game, here's the answer, kind of from a release management standpoint, if you like. So we're getting through it. But again, it's one of those things that, like, you know, when I first started collecting Xbox 360, it was the right console at the right time in my life that I fell in love with, because you know, I was blessed at the time with two commodities. One of them was a decent disposable income, and the second one was time. And I feel like as I've gone on in my life, I've got maybe more asset rich, but I've got so much time poorer. So time becomes the thing that stops me from doing so many things that I want to do, including making YouTube videos at the moment. It's really difficult to keep on top of everything, as I'm sure you guys will attest to as well.
Yeah. So what's your favourite? What's your favourite sort of 360 game? What one do you still play like all the time, or?
That's a really tough one. I mean,
it's quite a basic question, isn't it? But it's quite difficult.
I mean, look, the game I probably spent the most of my time playing was probably Modern Warfare 2. It's the only Call of Duty that I've ever gotten into online. So you know, I played that for a good few years after, you know, whatever other Call of Duty came out. I spent a lot of time with Guitar Hero 3. I probably spent 2 months just practicing Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force to get through it on Expert, which I eventually managed to do. But yeah, you know, I love that game to death. Red Dead Redemption was just a genuine masterpiece. I think if you were to literally kind of like make me face my wall and say, right, you've got one game that you can pick that's the only game you'll ever have for the rest of your life, I'd probably say Fallout New Vegas, because I just love that game. I was never into Fallout. You know, tactical isometric RPGs were never my thing. So I remember
it was radically different, wasn't it? Like
it was like Fallout 3 was just totally not what I expected. And in fact, when it first came out, I didn't touch it. My brother abused my staff discount and bought a copy, and I remember him sending me a text message saying, "Have you played Fallout 3?" And I was like, "No, like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, you know, I've got Modern Warfare 2. What do I need that for?" And he was just like, "You really need to play it. You'll love it. It's so good." And I think, you know, I waited until we had a pre-owned copy that I could get a decent discount on, and bought it expecting nothing and being blown away by it. So yeah, Fallout New Vegas was I remember my Bethesda rep, because we talk endlessly about Fallout. He came into my store 3 days before that game came out and gave me a promo copy. So he drove all the way from London just to give me a promo copy of Fallout New Vegas, because he knew I was proper hyped for it. So yeah, by the time it came out, I was 3/4 of the way through it, but there was just something about that game, like it just immediately sunk its teeth into me. Like I loved having the option to play like this ridiculous hardcore mode where stim packs don't heal me, they heal me over time, and if you break your limb, you can't just stim pack yourself better, you got to go to a doctor and get it fixed. Like it was proper a hardcore experience that I'd never really put myself through in a game like that before. So it's always just, I don't know, New Vegas is always the one that just, it's got a place in my heart that it earned. And I love it to bits. At the same time, mate, there's some absolute, and that's the thing I love about the 360 is there's so many genres that persist, franchises that persist to this day that started out on the 360. Even obscure stuff like Darksiders. Like the original Darksiders was pretty much as close as we ever got to Zelda on the Xbox 360, and it was just it was magnificent. Assassin's Creed. I've always loved Assassin's Creed for the most part, anyway. But obviously that started out on 360. Gears of War started out on 360. And so many of the franchises, especially the Microsoft ones, were perfected on 360 because Halo 3 remains the best Halo game, and I don't really feel like that's in any way an opinion. I feel like that's just a fact. Fable 2 was head and shoulders the best Fable game. Project Gotham Racing 3 is a masterpiece. And the more you dig into the console and the library itself, Burnout Revenge was just so much better on 360 than it was on PS2.
Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Oh,
the 2005.
The 2005 one is absolute gem. And again, even there was so many really good racing games on it. Blur, if you haven't played Blur, what a game! Split Second was just absolutely fantastic. Even Drive for San Francisco, I hate to say it, was genuinely good. It's just. Say again, sorry.
Ridge Racer 6
was
awesome,
course.
I think, on the 360. Very
really
launch game, I think, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was. So it was the console that just it arrived at the right time in my life for me to be able to commit a huge amount of time to it. At the time, like I say, my girlfriend was a gamer as well, so she'd think nothing of me getting home from work and sitting there until whatever time at night playing whatever game I was playing. There's games that we played together. She used to love the Lego games, for example. So we sat in co-ops, Lego Star Wars and Lego Harry Potter and Pirates of the Caribbean. But I found myself even playing games that normally one of the things that I hate more than anything in a game is a bloody escort quest. I hate anything that involves keeping AI alive. And yet one of the games that I remember falling head over heels in love with was a game called Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, which the entire game is essentially a massive, massive companion quest. And it's
like Last of Us, isn't it? First Last of Us,
yeah, exactly. There's no way that I should have liked that. And yet I loved it. I remember playing Bayonetta for the first time and going, good God, this game. I remember playing
stuff, it was wicked,
Vanquish as well. What a game that was. And then there was all those,
is a great platinum game as well.
It really is. Yeah. There was all those left field games, and Transformers Devastation is one of those. But stuff like El Shaddai and things like that, just genuinely excellent games that in this day and age, you launch that game digitally because it's an A or a double A game at best. You launch it digitally and that game gets lost in the crowd of everything, right? Whereas back in those days, it was a physical launch that sits on a shelf and people pick it up and word of mouth spreads, and before you know it, you've got something. But again, I've always been a kind of physical over digital guy. I shouldn't really say that because I work for a games publisher. And, we know the direction of traffic that we're trying to make that game. I'm still very much, I like having a tangible physical thing that I can own and cherish. And, I'm deep into video game preservation and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm one of those annoying forever physical guys. You can put a AAA game onto Steam or the Xbox Store or PlayStation Store, and I will not touch it until it's less than 15 quid. Like there's not been a single instance in my life where I've paid full price for a digital game, and to be honest, I don't think there ever will be. And it's you see the excuse a lot when people see a new game come out and kind of go, yeah, I'm just working on my backlog. But I think between the three of us, we can legitimately sit there and say, yeah, we've got a hell of a backlog going on here.
Oh hell yeah!
I think I've got enough video games.
We can see your backlog there, right behind you.
Yeah. I think.
And of course, we can't forget the amazing game on the Xbox 360, which was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Come on, let's talk video games. That is an absolute. Yeah. I mean,
I played that first time. And I was like, oh, you got to go and make us some funny little car now. And I was like, what the hell? And I literally noped out of it as soon as that happened. And I'm a big Banjo-Kazooie fan.
Mate, I loved the N64 ones. Nuts and Bolts didn't do it for me, mate. I mean, look,
it looks amazing. It looks stunning.
It does. It looks when I play Banjo-Kazooie on the N64, Nuts and Bolts looks exactly like I wanted that game to look like.
The cover renders almost fully realised within the game.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There were, I mean, let's face it, mate. There were some absolute stinkers on the 360.
Lost.
Lost.
Now, I was a big fan of Lost, and I bought that on day one for $39.99. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever financially recovered.
No.
Rambo the video game.
Yeah.
Rambo was good.
Oh, mate, it really
it was
wasn't.
actually.
The guys
rail shooter, wasn't it?
Yeah, the guys. It was distributed from Croydon, where I had my shop. It was a company. Yeah, it was not. We didn't distribute it, but
No.
there was I don't know, some sort of video game distributor. What they said was, everyone, no, you don't understand it. It's all about getting it through it quickly, doing it like this, and everyone assumed it was a different game than it was. I never played it.
Basically,
a score attack game. Yeah. Well, I think it's worth a bit of money now.
Yeah,
it was quite late. It was about 2014 or something. Weird.
It was post Xbox One that it came out. I remember paying somewhere between 25 and 30 quid for it, and feeling mugged for it, to be honest. Just, there are some of those, like some of the later Just Dance games, and like the Just Dance Disney Party 2, that are actually quite rare, and you have to pay, a not insubstantial amount of money for just bloody dance. And there's so many of them as well that it's just.
Which is your favourite one, Lee? Come on, that's what we want to know. That's what we want to know.
It's got to be Just Dance.
It's like picking which is your favourite child, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. It's an impossible question to answer, mate. I love them all so much with such a passion.
Yeah.
One thing I've been aching to ask you though, Lee. Have you got Handball 16?
Yes, I have. Yeah, and that's another one that we're very much on the fence about whether it counts as a UK release, because it's a bit like Kick-Ass 2.
What's up with that?
It's. I mean, it released in Europe. The SKU that I've got is an international version, but with English language on the back, which is pretty rare, to be honest. And again, nobody. If anybody knows anyone that worked at Big Ben circa late 2015, please get in touch with the boys, because we'd love to know exactly what happened with that, because we can't quite work it out.
I'm in a few Xbox 360 like groups, and there's collectors. There's some of the collectors aspect to most of them, and it always comes up like, "Oh, guys, I've just managed to find Handball 16." And everyone sort of congratulates them and says, "Oh, well done, mate, you did it," sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it out in the wild. So, like you say, I guess it was never kind of released, but was a bit.
It kind of was. Hang on a second, mate. I can show you.
Oh my god, we're going to see a real Handball 16 copy right now. I think it's a sport that's very obscure. Obviously, we see it in the Olympics. It's basically almost like side football. Yeah,
that's
there it is.
Yeah. I think it's really big in sort of Eastern Europe, the Balkans, and places like that.
Poland.
Poland,
also the Nordics as well. They love a bit of handball. So like Denmark, Iceland, Norway, places like that. Yeah, they seem to be all over it. And the French as well. The French are big fans of handball.
The Argentina in 1986, they loved handball.
They did indeed, didn't they?
Yeah. Football.
Some of them more than others. Yeah.
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 In 2009 against Ireland as well. He was a big fan of handball.
Yeah, but like I said, mate, that's the French, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, typical. Hence these games, you know,
that's
handball games. But
that's it.
Well, I'm conscious we've gone over an hour. We could go on for even longer talking about this.
I think we could, yeah.
Really fascinating. We've gone as deep as, you know, the printing of a particular type of Amaray case, if there's an EA logo in it or not. Does that mean your game isn't legit if you haven't got that? And I don't think it is. It's actually, I just realised it's the same on the PS3, that when they had the Spider-Man font, like we talked about earlier, the Blu-ray cases actually had PlayStation 3 in the plastic.
Correct.
Then when they went to the current, they still really have now. It was just a plain clear Blu-ray case.
Yeah, that's right.
But you couldn't really swap those out with the movie cases. Obviously, they're blue.
Exactly.
So, you could just go in and get FIFA, and you can swap it out really, as long as it's that later era of PS3 release. But yeah, okay. Well, Lee, where can we find you on like social media, on the interwebs? Where would you like to send people to view your stuff?
So pretty much everything, I'm at EternalLee HD. My YouTube, my Twitter. Sorry, I refuse to call it X or whatever.
It's Twitter.
It is Twitter.
Hell yeah!
I knew I liked you guys, you know. My TikTok as well. If you want to see a middle-aged man sing and play Oasis and other Britpop classics very badly on Clone Hero or Guitar Hero, you can find me on TikTok as well. I live stream most Tuesdays and Thursdays at EternalLee HD as well.
I mean, if you're doing all this music stuff, surely you play lips on the Xbox 360
with
the
mate.
microphones.
So if you've got 30 seconds to indulge me, when I was a store manager for Game, Microsoft did like a sponsorship of one of the store manager conferences, and it was when Lips was just coming out, and they basically had Morgan Harkett from Aha, who came out onto the stage, and they had Lips set up, and I think it was about a week before it came out, and the whole point of him being there was that he was going to set the high score to go on the Xbox Live servers for Take On Me by Aha. So he performed it live on the stage, and it totted up his score at the end, and he finished fourth. So that was amazing. Just after that happened, they then opened, because it was at the NEC in Birmingham, they then opened the hall behind us, and they put on like this massive fun fair where they encourage you to take your beers onto all the rides. So that was a lot of fun. And then after we'd all drunk far too much beer, we went back into the main part, and they brought the Ting Tings out, and we did a Rocky session with the Ting Tings. I didn't know who the Ting Tings were, apart from did that. That's Not My Name. That song, whatever it was called.
Sort of dancey stuff,
So basically, we had the Ting Tings
DJs,
minus
another song they did.
Minus the singer, and they invited us. You could apply to go up on the stage and sing a song. So I managed to go up and sing "Don't Look Back in Anger" by Oasis with the Ting Tings. So what a dream that was, and that was all centered around Lips. So I'll never forget Lips. I've always got a special kind of like, if I think of a karaoke game, I don't think of SingStar, I think of Lips.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you know, when they talk about PS3 v Xbox, it's Halo versus, I don't know, Resistance Fallen Man, Uncharted v, you know, whatever. It's really Lips v SingStar.
That's all it's ever been,
that's
mate.
what we all think of.
All it's ever been. Yeah.
In our hearts, anyway. Stu, where can you find us on the internet?
Yeah, so if you search Console Shock, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're on all of the podcast clients as well. So Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes, Apple Podcasts. So you can find us on all of those different podcasts under Console Shock.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Lee. It's been really amazing chatting to you about the Xbox collecting.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and thank you very much for having me on.
No, it's been brilliant, Lee. Thank you very much. Great stories.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Catch you later, and we'll see you in the next one.